What's your pre-season been like? Have you been able to have a pre-season?
I have, yeah. It's been a bit of a different one with the World Cup coming around. It's been a long pre-season for a lot of the boys, so it's been a lot of weights in the gym, which is sort of up my street. And then we've tapered off into sort of more running following the games.
Well, it's very good to have you alongside. I'm going to get your thoughts on the Saints team in particular, but let's start with the Barbarians side. As I say, 13 of the 15 are Australians. In fact, I'll tell you now, it's Faulua Makisi at number 8 and Uwe Helu in the second row, who are the two Japanese players. So apart from that, I assume they're Australian. It's Tom Wright at fullback, Lachlan Anderson and Dylan Peach are the wings. In midfield, it's Taugunu and Paisami, both Australian internationals. James O'Connor, we've got to call him a veteran these days. What a fantastically gifted fly half he's been over the years. 72 caps for Australia. He's the real star of this team. He's at fly half with Ryan Lonergan from the Brumbies in Australia A at scrum half. Lambert, Lonergan and Talakai the front row. Helu and Neville the locks. Swinton, Uru and Makisi is the back row, as Saints are led out by Tom Cruise, the captain this afternoon. George Hendy at fullback, Will Glister and Jake Garside are the wings. Tom Seabrook and Tom Litchfield in midfield with the halfbacks, Callum Brayley and James Grayson. Alex Waller, Tom Cruise and Paul Hills the front row. Theo Vukasinovic and Geordie Irvin the locks. Angus Scott Young, Henry Pollock and Isaiah Moore Ayano in the back row. So a few unfamiliar names in the Saints team as well, Manny.
Yeah, exactly. This team is a team full of young talent with a splash of talent, with a splash of experience in the front row. There's a lot of lads out there that are itching to get their hands on the rugby ball, so it's going to be an exciting matchup.
It'll be Saints kicking off, playing from right to left in their green, black and gold hoop jerseys. I really like this year's kit, I've got to say. And it's not massively different from other seasons, but a bit of a throwback, this one. A bit of a retro feel to it. And, the Barbarians, obviously, black and white hoops. Fabulous kits. One of the most iconic, famous kits in world sports. And they're playing left to right, down the slope towards the cinch stand. And referee today is Ian Tempest, a pre-season for him as well. But we are almost all set and ready to go. It's not a bad crowd for a pre-season game. Not bad at all. As James Grayson just waits for the kick-off. Yeah, there's a couple of unfamiliar names in there that you won't yet know from a Saints perspective, as it's a high kick but dropped immediately by Seru Uru, the Australian flanker, who thumps the pitch in frustration. That's the last thing you want. You waited so long, Manny, and the first touch you drop it.
Exactly. It's almost caught the ball before it's even landed in his hands, but Saints at set piece now. We've done a lot of set piece work, so hopefully we get to see some of that work here.
It's Callum Brayley who will get the ball into the scrum. There's very much a relaxed pre-season feel to this, as Brady, who I'm sorry to say, has his hair tied back in another ponytail. Lennie Newman will have thoughts on that.
Yeah, we'll come back to that in a moment. I could only assume that it's for a bet.
Well, if he's anywhere near you with this season, if you've got your scissors in your pocket, Lennie, beware Callum Brady. Let's hope not.
The scissors are out ready, and one thing I did notice just while they're setting up this scrum, new music, Manny, at the beginning of the game.
Oh, I didn't notice that then.
Yeah, did you notice that?
What music was it?
Yeah, George Furbank was actually in the changing room before the game trying to decide what to put on. So, yeah, so that's George Furbank there.
Free kick to Saints at that scrum. As Grayson pops up, that's a nice line outside him from Tom Seabrook. New signing from Gloucester, of course, plays in the centre, all on the wing. Brady dummies to his left, but is wrapped up by the Barbarians. Saints still controlling that ball, pick and drive. Scott Young will be desperate to impress today, won't he, as the ball goes out to Cruz, former Wasps player that Saints picked up last season. And here's Moriano driving low up towards that try, and the ball ricochets forward off Scott Young's shoulder. And it's cleared by the Barbarians. The ball stays in play. Hendy drops back and picks up just outside the 22. Play on, says the referee. I thought there's a knock on there, but I wonder if it came off his shoulder. The referee's ruling play on in Tempest, the referee. Pollock over that ball. He's had a crew cut over the summer down the blind side to Garside. Garside almost up to the 22 and to be brought in field, this time by Saints. Scott Young drives on. Here's Alex Waller. First touch of the ball from the Saints loose head. I don't call him a veteran just yet. Vukasinovic takes it on and left Scott Young to Grayson. Outside him is Garside with a good turn of pace. Nice hands too to pop it up to Seabrook, who's on his shoulder. Saints looking menacing, but they concede the penalty of the breakdown for not releasing. And a chance for the Barbarians to clear their lines. Solid though, Manny. Solid first set from the Saints.
Exactly, just building phases, getting into shape and sometimes playing out the back. You see a bit of magic there from Jake out the back. He's not afraid to throw it around, that guy.
Yeah, he's someone who's impressed. Now you're going to have to tell me about some of these new signings. More Ayano. Have you had much of a chance to get to know him yet, the number 8?
I have. He's currently staying with me at my house. So yeah, we've crossed paths a lot. He's a great lad, real quiet, but works so hard.
So come on, from a commentator's perspective, tell me his name. If you live with him, you can say his name perfectly, can you?
I definitely can't. No.
Isaiah?
Yeah, correct.
Isaiah Moore Iono.
Ayano, yeah.
Ayano.
Yeah.
Get there. He's a good player. Decent signing, isn't he?
Absolutely.
Line out won by the Barbarians, and it's spun out into midfield to Pasami. O'Connor with a lovely missed pass. And there is some talent out there, streaking down the left. It's Peach into the 22, and superb try from the Barbarians. It's Lonergan, the captain, the scrum half, who touched it down. And look, be in no doubt, Lennie, this is a very, very talented Australian Barbarian side.
Well, it is, and if you look at that, you'll hear coaches so many times say, let the ball do the work, and that's just what they did there. Just, if you look, nobody had to alter a single step there, did they, to just get into line, and some superb passing right in the breadbasket. And I know Lee Radford will probably be a little bit upset, but I think it's just really, really, look out the back, just really good, and then good pace there, back inside, and just great support.
It was a very well executed, very straightforward try, wasn't it? It's the sort of thing you work on time after time, put hours in. You run through those first wave moves, so that's what you can do. You've got that sort of pace out wide. The conversion in front of the sticks, kicking towards a pretty well populated cinch stand to my right as we look. 5 minutes played, 5-0 the Barbarians lead, and it's comfortably knocked through by Ryan Lonergan. But yeah, Manny, just a very well executed, relatively straightforward try, wasn't it?
Exactly. I think Sam Vesti talks about getting your positions right on set plays, and that was just a demonstration of everyone in sync and clicking, and it looked pretty easy, didn't it?
When you pass that crisply as well, it makes it all the easier, as this time the Barbarians do gather the restart through Anderson, Australia A international, and Lonergan, who just converted that try, goes short. Thought he might have lifted the box kick up that time, but he might this time. No, he's going to go short, is he? Yeah, he is. In fact, it's another pick and drive by McKechnie this time, the Japanese international. Up goes the box kick. It's gone very high. No real distance on that. He's going to claim it. Well, it's been claimed by Uru, who gets the ball away as well. But the attempt to clearance is half charged down by Hendy with good footwork. Hendy kicks ahead and chases, looking for the offload in his field. But
that's unlucky there. I just want to highlight the work rate of Paul Hill to catch the guy before he kicks the ball.
There is something about George Hendy. We've talked about him a lot, and we've seen him for a couple of seasons now, really. But he has a knack of scoring surprising tries, doesn't he?
Yeah, exactly. He's always there when the sort of ball needs to be picked up, and he always finds a way to sort of get over the whitewash. So he's an exciting player, George Hendy.
Barbarians clearing their lines. Swinton runs it out, and then Lonergan with a clearance kick. It's a good one too. Lennie, what have you made of it? What have you made of it so far? I mean, we're only 7 minutes in.
Yeah, I think the Saints have looked quite sharp actually in attack. Good movement there from, and he's a big lad. You sometimes don't realise, what is it? He'll be 6'2", and it's
who?
Sorry, Hendy, you were just talking about Hendy,
yeah.
So he was, I say, referee's going to give a
penalty as Litchfield takes into contact, but penalty against the Barbarians. Vukasinovic. He's a big man, isn't he?
I like the look of him. He's very athletic. When I first came out, didn't see his number. I thought that Colsey had, had a perm or something like that. But no, he looks a good. I take it he's another one of the players that's actually effectively on loan at the moment, isn't he? During this period, but he looks a good player.
Yeah, he does. He's come from Wasps. He's one of the former Wasps players. He was on London Irish Books and London Scottish as well. There he is again, but this time a free kick goes against Saints. So what's Mr. Tempest seen there?
If it's a free kick, it's either got to be closing the gap, or there is a new directive that you've got to be quicker at the line out.
Must have been closing the gap, I think, but cleared long and caught in the deep by Garside, who comes gliding down the left up to the 10-metre line. Scott Young. And now it's looked a little forward, that from Grayson, but Ian Tempest has let it go. In fact, he's playing an advantage to Saints. Driven on well. Seru Uru is a real handful, isn't he, at the breakdown, as Grayson goes cross-field with his kick, but it's right over the head of Jake Garside, who's not the tallest winger. In fact, he's a scrum half, really, isn't he? Manny, what's the thinking there with Jake on the wing this afternoon?
Jake is a player that has some of the best footwork I've ever seen, so he is a very agile player. So on the wing, he's got gas footwork, and he just happens to be good at passing. So for them putting him on the wing is, in my opinion, a very good decision.
So it is an option then. We've seen him play scrum half, haven't we, so far? But he is, I suppose, you're thinking of. Well, I mean, Alex Mitchell's popped up on the wing. Doesn't he? Cobus Reinach has played on the wing, and Shane Williams was a scrum half wing as well. But there is a precedent for that. You do see him playing on the wing.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I think when you get nines that are that quick and that agile, you always attempt to put them on the wing and see what they can do.
So line out to Saints, and Tom Cruise is captaining this afternoon. He's a great character, isn't he, Tom Cruise? I remember the very first time I met him when he signed for Saints. I thought, I can see why. Natural leader, I guess, in this group, is he? He
is a born leader, yeah, and he's got great crack about him, so he ticks all boxes, to be honest.
Yeah, good player too. Cruz throws to Vukasinovic. Line out as well, but the ball is dropped. It comes to nothing. The referee's playing advantage. The Barbarians will run. O'Connor from behind his own try line, knowing that the advantage is being played, gets the pass out. A pass he would never attempt in any other form of the game. It's come loose, but the referee has blown, and he'll go back. And quite right too. I mean, you've got to encourage the Barbarians to do some of that and reward them. And if it does go wrong, they go back for the scrum. That's good refereeing from Ian Tempest. You would never ever see that. I mean, if you did see that in a Premiership match, Lennie, you would see your defence coach, probably your attack coach as well, with not just their head in their hands. They would be. Well,
it shows you a times change, because again, I don't want to harp back too much, but that's just the type of thing that Wayne Smith would have wanted you to do, to really take the opposition by surprise and do things like that. I remember once against Bath, we ran the whole length of the field doing just that, because Bath pretty much stopped, thought it was going to be a scrummage, and we scored the whole length of the field. I think it was John Clark who dotted in the corner. So it can be done, but as I say, I was going to ask Manny after this scrum actually what impact Lee Radford had, but
it's cleared by O'Connor, and it'll be a line out to Saints. Well, go on then. You can ask.
Yeah, Manny, Lee Radford come in this year as the new defence coach. What kind of impact has he had?
Oh, he's brought in a massive impact. He's almost brought in a northern touch to our side, of just being real brutal and real hard. And he's simplified a lot of our defensive structures. So yeah, it's very easy to follow, and it's all about violence and physicality.
Up the middle, it's carried by Litchfield. It looks like he's bulked up a bit over the summer as well. Good player, Tom Litchfield. He's going to go far, I think, as the ball is dropped and the Barbarians pick up the loose ball. There could be a way here. It was, Peach initially who scooped the ball up. Good work from Vukasinovic just to get in there and make life difficult for the Barbarians. The chip into the 22 is gathered by Garside retreating, and he marks it. And so Saints will be able to clear from their own 22. Garside. Well, it was Tom Wright bearing down on him. But Garside gets his kick away and finds touch. There's a contented hum around Franklin's Gardens today. It's everyone knows it's a warm-up match. The serious stuff is where the cup starts next week. But this afternoon should be a bit of fun for the crowd, but a good and important workout for the players as Swinton takes into contact. O'Connor comes flying forward. James O'Connor has played rugby everywhere, isn't he? All over the world. He's had skirmishes with authorities. Played for London Irish over here. I remember that was his big comeback a few years ago. Paul Hill nearly gets his hands on the ball at the ruck there in the centre of the field, but instead it comes back to O'Connor, who's on to right along the line and out on the wing is Lonergan, the Australian international hooker, but he knocks the ball on and it'll be a scrum down, and it remains 7-0. 13 minutes played. I still, Lennie, have to remind myself that we aren't on the radio today, normally on BBC Northampton of course, but today there are pictures, so I don't want to tell you too much. I keep on saying the ball's moved left. You can see it. Exactly. I don't need to tell you that, do I?
No, I say, and one thing you can see is the new Saints strip, which I actually really like. It's the traditional colours, but I think they've done really well designing a nice modern shirt with a traditional look about it. That's just my fashion input there, well, Manny. I'll always like my little bits of
many years. How many years did you work on Cosmopolitan magazine?
Vogue it was, actually.
Oh, Vogue.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah. You were the agony arms, weren't you? Ask Lennie.
Yeah, I think that was Viz.
That's definitely more your level.
James Grayson. I'm not going to ask Manny this because I don't want him to talk about his teammates, but big year for him, Graham. Yeah. You know, he's probably stood in the shadows of Finn Smith when he arrived, but I think this is a big year, and I see glimpses at the back end of last season to say that, you know, James Grayson can really put some pressure on the other 10s.
Line out one by Barbarians. It's gone against the throw, and it's Uru down the right, carrying the ball in one hand into the 22 before he stopped. Paul Hill again. That's Henry Pollock who's over the ball. I mean, I couldn't quite believe that was Paul Hill who'd got gathered back that quickly, but it's Henry Pollock, who is a fantastic prospect.
He is.
I almost don't want to get too carried away about Henry Pollock.
You'd be forgiven for the mistake because they both got the same headband on. But yeah,
similar hair as well.
Exactly.
I think Paul Hill would probably be flattered by the pace at which I thought he raced back to make that turnover. But yeah, Pollock, well, we've seen him a bit last year. As I say, you don't want to get too carried away with him. But he's clearly an immense talent and a huge prospect for Saints. As the scrum is won, Moore Ayano picks the ball up, goes infield before he's stopped. Penalty though to the Barbarians at the breakdown, not releasing. Yeah, Pollock, as I say, we saw him in the Prem Cup last year. But although he's young in years, I'll come back to that in a minute. O'Connor spots the gap and goes for it, and he's just dragged down short of the try line. There's numbers on the left, and there's a touchdown in the corner for the Barbarians. It's I think it's Dagunu who scored it. I'll tell you in a moment when I've got a number. But 16 minutes played, and it's 12-0 to the Barbarians. And again, I suppose we've seen twice now that you just cannot afford to give them ball in your 22. They're going to punish you. They've got so much pace, they put width on it, they're going to score.
Yeah, they had width and everything, and players like James O'Connor, you cannot afford to give him that amount of room and to get that his pace up. And again, pace will beat everything, and there you've got the players just looking inside at Connor, will he, won't he, and he didn't score the try, but he was certainly, he created that overlap, and then it was just simple quick ball back and a two-man overlap. So you got to remember as well that the Aussies that are in the side here, the Barbarians, they're all on standby for the World Cup squad. James O'Connor is only an injury away from getting the call up from Eddie Jones, so they'll all be European based. Most of the players whose countries are in the World Cup here today will be based in Europe just for that reason. So this is not an also run of Barbarians. This is a fine side, but the Saints will be learning from this every single minute. The young lads will be realising you cannot get players of the if you want, I'll use the word class of James O'Connor and expect to get away with it.
Conversion from out wide, and it's hit the post, stays out, remains 12-0. But Lennie, you've played in these pre-season games, and we always talk about the fact it's all about the performance. We're not too concerned with the outcome, are we? But it has a bearing. You don't want to get tonked, do you? But it is the performance we're looking at.
No, and as Manny said earlier, it's very much getting your patterns and your structures going. It will come, believe it or not, but the worry about, not worry, but when you're playing up against the Barbarian side, you tend to sometimes just follow suit to what they're doing. You've got to keep your pattern and your structure and your game plan, really.
Lonergan will clear inside his 22 from the restart. It's a good kick from Lonergan. It'll be a line out to Saints, midway between the 22 and the halfway line. I mentioned Manny. I was talking about Henry Pollock in the back row. He's still only 18, I think, isn't he? I think he was 17 when he made his debut last year. Is that a bit of a challenge? You've been there yourself as the next big thing. Is it difficult to deal with that?
It's pretty tough because...
Well, hang on, hold that thought, because the Barbarians pick up the loose ball. Sorry, you can get back to that moment, because streaking up the middle, Dylan Peach will touch down under the post. It's a drop ball, and, well, you're not going to catch the winger there. He goes, 45, 50 metres through the middle to touch down under the post. And a mistake by Saints means it's 17-0. Anyway, back to Henry Pollock. Talk about more cheerful things from a Saints perspective. Yeah, how much of a challenge is it to have that burden of expectation? And you brought it on yourself by playing so well. As a young man against Leicester, suddenly we're all talking about you, but Henry Pollock's now the one everyone's looking at.
Yeah, exactly. I think with players like him, you learn the most when you're chucked in the deep end. So he's got loads of learning to do. He's very talented and he's willing to work hard, and those are sort of the main things he needs to get out of his game. But yeah, he's honestly going to be a talent, and you do sort of pause to get credits, but he's a good player.
There's the conversion from Lonergan to make it 19-0 in the blink of an eye. Did you find it difficult, as a young player, and the expectation? You obviously played through the England age groups. I
didn't really. It's sort of just you don't read into it too much. You just sort of play your rugby, and everything outside of it you sort of ignore. So yeah, I didn't find it too hard.
Saints restart through Grayson. It's deep in the 22, carried forward. And just for a moment then, I thought the Barbarians were just going to clear the ball, but they're going to try and run it as much as they can this afternoon, aren't they? They're enjoying themselves, but it's dropped. And there'll be a scrum down. Saints ball, 19-0 the score. Lennie, what are you looking forward to most about the Saints team, the additions this year, the young players coming through, and which are the names you're looking out for?
Yeah, well, I think you're obviously going to look at your people like Odendall. I think he's going to bring something different in the centre, where I don't want to use two, but I don't want to say much of a muchness, but we're Dingwall and Hutchinson. We've now got another option, which I think with his experience, Chukamunga coming in, and Manuel Iyogun, and I've probably got that wrong, but he's obviously with Fiji in the World Cup at the moment. It's a good mix, and also Manny won't mind me saying here, but I'm trying to think of the Irish lad's name who came from Wasps. Tariq Afar.
Hang on, the London Irish player who came from Wasps.
Sorry, did I say that?
Yeah.
No, sorry, London Irish player.
I think we did understand what you meant.
Yeah, you knew what I meant.
Tariq Afar, yeah.
Tariq Afar came from London Irish. He's just a great talent. He's good with ball in hands. But you need that competition, don't you, Manny?
Absolutely. Competition like that only makes a team better.
Well, that's a good scrum from Saints. Talking about competition, the ball is kicked out of the hands of Callum Brady, but Referee's giving a penalty to the scrum. Anyway, sorry, carry on, Manny. You're saying about competition. Tarek Hafar's come into the team in your position.
Yeah, exactly. Competition like that only makes the team better. He's a talented player. Honestly, watching him train, he's quick as.
Well, he's something different, isn't he? I remember now, Lennie and I don't know, were you involved in the Prem Cup game at London Irish last year? It was midweek game. It was reorganised, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We were down at Brentford, and for the first 15 minutes of that game, he looked unbelievable.
Yeah.
Then his knee went.
Yeah.
But for that 50 minutes, we were all thinking, crikey, who is this?
Yeah. He is some player, and he's got a great attitude as well. He's a young lad willing to learn. I sort of see a bit of myself in him. But yeah, it's going to be awesome to sort of mentor him and sort of bring him up to speed. Mentor
him? You're not that old yourself, anyway. Line-out is pinched by the Barbarians, and away they go through Seru Uru. Great tackle back by Jake Garside. But they're going to stretch them here, the Barbarians. Anderson comes surging off the right, and that pass is well forward and into touch. Peach couldn't reach it, even if he could have done. It was well forward. And so it remains 19-0. How old are you now, Manny?
22.
22, and you're a mentor. How old's Tarek Hafar? 21?
I think he's 20.
There we go, yeah. You're a veteran of this side.
Yeah, I like the look of all our front row. Actually, Curtis Langdon's come in as well. You know, you add that to Tom Cruise, Sam Matavesi, Robbie Smith. You've got a good roster of hookers there, and that mix of real enthusiasm and experience. I really do like the look of Saints squad this year. If we can keep everybody pretty fit, I think we can cause some trouble at. Again, we've got to do it at home, but it's picking up those away points, which is the difference between being a top four and having that mess around for fourth or fifth.
So 19-0 the score here at Franklin's Gardens. With me, Graham McKechnie and Lennie Newman. Enjoying being back at the Gardens. We'll of course have all the games you live on BBC Radio Northampton throughout the season, home and away. And the Saints show is back on Wednesday, Lennie. First show back. You did know that. Did I tell you that?
No.
Oh,
no.
Wednesday. Lennie, I need you Wednesday.
It's always good to find out, isn't it? Yeah.
First show on Wednesday.
What would you do if you got your rota 3 days beforehand?
Well, when you were team manager, Lennie, that's probably what the players are getting here.
Day before. Phone call the night before. Being at 7. Weed and Beck, run them hills.
Well, look, I'm looking forward to being back on Wednesday evenings. 6 till 7 as always, the Saints show. And,
good crowd, subdued. It's a typical.
I was going to say, it is still summer, isn't it? I think we're into the autumn by the calendar, being the 2nd of September. It's very warm. We're going to have a bit of a heat wave now as well, aren't we? It's down the blind side. Oh, that's an offside player running back, tracking back for the Barbarians. It's the hooker, Lachlan Lonergan.
I think the one thing you can notice, Graham, as I sit here looking at the players, and you mentioned Pollock earlier, you can see he's filled out well the pre-season with a fair bit of gym work, is paying dividends. You know, he almost looks as if he's turned from a boy into a young man. So it's like this boy next to me. I had to breathe in because he was almost sitting on my lap, because he's not for my kind of size issues.
No,
but
he's put weight on the right areas.
Yes, yeah. No, you know what I meant.
Line-out is one, but it wasn't straight, I'm afraid, from Tom Cruise. So it'll be a scrum down. Barbarians put in. Have you done a lot of gym work, Manny? Then
I have, yeah. I've been gymming for the best part of 7 months. They've locked me away in there.
Is that something you needed to do? Have they said you need to bulk?
Yeah, well, it's funny looking back now, because maybe the injury is a bit of a blessing in disguise, because I've managed to sort of get in the gym and put a bit of weight on, which is what a lot of people said I sort of needed to do. So yeah. Because
was there a sense? I mean, when you made, you burst onto the scene. You were 20, I think, weren't you, against Leicester? Is that right?
Yeah.
Were you 20 at the time?
I think I was 19.
19,
actually,
yeah. Physically, as a loose head prop, that is very, very young, isn't it? You know, we talk about this a lot, that props mature a little later, as the Barbarians attack from their own 22. And it's a terrific carry from the very strong Dagunu, almost up to halfway. Now over the halfway line they go. But Saints holding them at bay for now. Right in the blind side, the fullback is stopped. Now in field to Uru. He's been really good, hasn't he? Seru Uru, Australia A international, but he's very, very talented. Lambert, New South Welshman, has stopped on halfway, the loose head. Saints have a player down hurt. Not sure who it is. Waller, Alec Waller. It's like a bit of a stinger maybe on that left shoulder. He's a bit bothered though. They don't want to lose any more loose heads right now. As on they go through Helu, Japan international. And they're looking very exposed on the left flank here, Saints, as they carry through Lonergan. The Barbarians up to 5 metres out. It's Swinton on the crash ball. Is he over? Held up, says the referee. And good defence in the end when it really, really mattered. When the Barbarians get a roll at the moment, Manny, they are very, very hard to stop. There's the quality, the power that they've got out there.
Exactly, you can sort of see the experience. That they're moving onto the ball at such pace. It's so hard to sort of get a man-on-man shot. Yeah, you can sort of just see the experience just watching them run there. 27
minutes played. I don't think they'll take any chances with Alex Waller. It is a stinger, you think, Lennie? I mean, you're very good at diagnosing these.
Yeah, when he went down, but you look, he's just trying to find the end of his fingers again. I always talk about this where it's a horrible thing. It does come back, but at this stage of the season, there's no point putting Alex Waller under any more pressure. Yeah, it's definitely a stinger. But
it brings Elliot Miller-Mills into the fray, who has he's been around a bit. Another Wasps former.
Another Wasp, yeah.
Had a very brief spell at Edinburgh last year. Has come through Ealing, Edinburgh. So he's got and Yorkshire Carnegie as well. It all began. We'll get Manny Iyogun's thoughts on Miller-Mills in a moment. So the Barbarians chip up the middle, and it's Wright who gathers it, and still they keep this ball alive with fabulous hands. The Barbarians carried by Paisami up towards the left try line, and they're over. It's a pick and dive over the try line into the corner. James O'Connor? No, it was in fact it's Paisami who made it in the end. And there's another one for the Barbarians.
I've just been watching Lachlan Swinton. He's playing blindside at the moment. He is everywhere, and he's such a big man, and he's hitting that line at absolutely 100 mile an hour. It's so difficult to stop, and then here's the key. He's just up on his feet within seconds to get into the next phase, as that's the way you create your overlaps and your mismatches. But I've been really impressed with him this half. Prop who's just come on, Manny, what do you know about him?
Yeah, Miller-Mills.
He's massive, isn't he? His arms are enormous.
He is. We kind of make fun of him at times for not having a neck, because he's just straight torso and head. But yeah, he's a great player, great guy. He actually moves pretty well for a big man as well.
I saw him. I was standing quite close to him at the Blackstone Challenge back in July, and I just looking at the size of his biceps, and it is extraordinary, isn't it? When you get, I'm around rugby players a lot. I'm used to seeing very muscle-bound men, but he is, even by rugby players' standards, big.
Yeah, absolutely.
The conversion from out wide stays wide. 24-0, the Barbarians lead. I mean, look, it's going along, this game, isn't it, Lennie? It feels nothing like it'll feel in a week's time, or certainly not in a month's time.
No, look, and the Saints will come back. There's no doubt about that. As I say, this side, the Barbarians, is playing with such freeness at the moment.
Well, you mentioned it yourself that they're almost entirely Australian this side, aren't they?
Yeah.
And almost a shadow squad, isn't it, for the Wallabies?
Yes, absolutely.
So they're hungry, and they have points to prove as well, I suppose, is the important thing to mention.
I guarantee you a certain Mr. Jones will be watching this, just making sure that his backup players are doing just that, ready to take that phone call, pack the bags, and pop over the water to France.
And even it's not beyond realms of possibility. Even if they had some injuries, even at fly half, that they'd give James O'Connor the credit.
Yes.
34, he's still in great shape,
Yeah.
isn't he?
No, he is. He's in. I love the way the Barbarians as well got the old-fashioned long shorts on today.
It's a good look. As Waller is back on, so Miller Mills' first appearance in Franklin's Gardens is, well, as a Saints player, is over for now. But he goes to sit down once more. In the meantime, Saints with some much-needed possession. Geordie Irvin with the ball in midfield is stopped. Grayson knocks on. It's a poor pass, too low for him.
Poor pass. We need some points on the board, just to get this, get the momentum going. I think actually we could probably get the ball a little bit wider, a little bit quicker, and then just speed up the game out wide, because these big guys through the middle are just soaking up all the pressure at the moment. I like Garside, Manny, at 9, but I get where you're coming from with it. He's very much in the Cheslin Cole with that kind of. It's almost gone, back from the days of the Jonah Lomus and I know we've still got Van der Merwe, massive men, but there's still place for a really good, I don't want to say little because they're not little, but a smaller guy.
Yeah, exactly. You sort of have to be careful to say little because Jake Garside is a strong man. With most things, it kind of goes full circle, doesn't it? You get sort of big wingers and then you come back to small, agile wingers.
Barbarians attack down the left. The ball, I think, has gone forward. It has. So, essentially the chance to clear. It's dropped this time by Scott Young. They're being a little bit overwhelmed, aren't they, Saints, at the moment, Lennie? I don't mean to be overly critical because it's a pre-season game, but they are just being a little bit overwhelmed in pretty much every aspect.
Yeah, and look, we said about getting your structures and your phases going. That's what the Saints are doing, but there's times where actually you need to step outside of that structure and just probably have another pair of hands. I think that's what we could do at the moment. We're just trying to set up very close to, where the original Ruck or Moore were, where I really think I said I don't want to get mixed into the same Barbarians type game plan because that wouldn't have been the intentions, but I do think we're probably going to get the ball a little bit wider, a little bit quicker.
Brayley spins it out and taken up the middle by Seabrook. Some possession for Saints at last. Moriano is stopped just short of the 10-metre line, but a penalty for not releasing. Quick tap by Brady, spins a lovely ball out wide, and on the right wing, is that Cruz? It was, and the ball is turned over by Sami, and he immediately goes weaving down the left, turning Grayson left and right before Grayson makes the tackle. Dropped by Neville, but it's gone backwards, so play goes on. O'Connor gets it out to Uru with a big miss pass out to Wright. A lovely line from Wright, must be a try. Well, on the scissors, it's Daiganu who goes through the gap to score, and that is, again, beautifully executed. But you can see the experience here, Lennie, can't you? That, Wright and Daiganu made that look so simple down the right, but they just instinctively knew, players of that sort of experience, the lines they're going to run, how to finish that off. They made it look incredibly straightforward. Well,
the Saints be disappointed with that because that's a really, really simple mistake made, which shouldn't be made. Tom Cruise, I get he's out there, not a problem with that, but we give the ball away very cheaply there, and that's one of the things that we need to iron out because it could have probably done with anybody else other than Tom Cruise out there, but if you are going to cut back inside, you've got to be stronger on the ball there, and as I say, given cheaply, and the next level of player that we're seeing here with the Barbarians, they only need half a chance and they're gone. Simple as.
Yeah, and it's 29-0 to the Barbarians here at Franklin's Gardens. The last played each other back in November. That was actually the very first meeting between the Saints and the Barbarians. And Well, this is proving to be an altogether different occasion. Saints won that one 45-39. In fact, it was a lot of fun. But another conversion stays out, which is making the scoreline look a little more respectable. 29-0. Manny, what's been your take on it so far from what you've seen?
It's been tough. I think we're getting beaten by a very experienced Barbarian side. They look quite comfortable when they're on the ball, and I think maybe we look a bit stressed. But yeah, like Lennie was saying, I think we need to maybe move the ball to wider channels and see if we can get some success there.
Cruz gets the ball, and if he's playing an advantage, Vukasinovic held just short of the 22. The referee blows as there's no advantage. I mean, it's slim pickings, just because Saints haven't had very much ball. But if I was to highlight any individual, I think Vukasinovic has been good. He's looked physical, he's looked menacing in the middle of the line. But beyond that, it's difficult, really, isn't it? Just because it's the nature of the game. It's been all Barbarians, as the scoreline quite accurately suggests. We're approaching half-time, and well, we'll see. I mean, it's not going to get much easier for Saints, because the Barbarians, well, on the bench, they've got a whole load more Australians and Japanese internationals to bring on, as that ball's just overthrown or underjumped, if you the hooker. And the Barbarians turn it over and can clear. And you're just waiting for them to attack, aren't you, all the time?
Exactly. There's no drop-offs there. You're always frontline focused, because they can play from anywhere, to be honest.
I mean, from that perspective, it's a really good fitness workout for Saints, isn't it? They will be blowing.
Absolutely. Especially first game of the season, yeah, they will be.
O'Connor's attempted clearance, a charge down by Paul Hill. It is Paul Hill that time, it's not Henry Pollock, but Pollock chases. God, I mean, they're like twins out there today, aren't they?
They are. They're like the Chuckle Brothers, I think.
Yeah, both with tape round their ears, both with shaven heads, but it's Paul Hill who came through with a charge down. Pollock followed it up, and Saints have the ball on the 22 on the left-hand side. The throw coming as we approach half-time. Minute to go before half-time. And it's the throw coming in. And Cruz, Irvin knocks it back. Oh, turned over though, and again, fabulous hands from Uru to get the ball onto Lambert. The loose head driving down and gets the ball in the field, battered back by Grayson, but into the arms of Neville. And again, they'll be stretched. They've got numbers on the left. If they move it that way, they go cross-field this time. The kick from Pasami. It's awkward, isn't it? Very awkward. Grayson picks it up. Well, it's I think it's Glister actually picks it up. But Grayson slips the ball on and flying away up the middle. Saints with a rare burst clear through Seabrook. Well, Seabrook, with some fabulous pace, takes it almost up to halfway. And that gave the Franklin's Gardens crowd something to cheer about for the first time this afternoon. As Scott Young's pass is intercepted by McKechnie. But the referee's playing a penalty advantage anyway. And that's cheered us all up before half-time. Lovely break there from Tom Seabrook. Lennie, Seabrook, someone who's almost under the radar a bit. He's signed from Saints quite a while ago.
Yeah, he's product from Gloucester. Been with Gloucester pretty much all his junior and adult rugby playing career, and he's a good acquisition because he's comfortable inside, outside, centre, and on the wing. Showed a good set of heels there. It's I didn't see it was came back, but he came back from nowhere. It's funny because at first I thought it was Tom Cruise. They're a similar build, and then I'll see the pace and thought
that's
it
not
can't
Cruise.
be.
No. Line-up won by Vukasinovic. And Saints with the ball, but knocked on.
Now you see, that has to be a penalty to me, to the Saints, because Saints are going forward. There's only one way that's gone down, and you just look at the players now. That's the Barbarians. They've just let that fold over the top of them. That's a penalty all day long for an attacking. You've got to give the advantage to the attacking side there. Would the Saints have took that down deliberately? No.
Well, it'll probably be the last play of the half.
I was hoping we get a point. Could do with just points on the board.
scrum down. Barbarians putting, we haven't had many scrums today, have we? As the Saints coaches head down the steps for the half-time chat. But the referee's just going to reset this scrum. But 29-0 the score. Making a bit of a meal out of this scrum, aren't they? Given that it's almost inevitably, well, I was going to say kicked off for half-time, but actually you never know with the Barbarians. They'll probably have a go. They might fancy moving this across the field and set Peach off down the left. Tom Wright's looked good at fullback as well, hasn't he? Right, final, we'll get this scrum set, and Ryan Lonergan, the Barbarians captain, gets the ball in. And they are indeed going to run it. A little chip over the top, but back there to gather is Glister. And Glister carries it up the middle, buried by Lonergan. Good tackle by Lonergan, but Saints will play on here, won't they? They're on the 22, looking for those first points for them of the match. 29-0. Grayson takes it into contact. Pollock back to scrum half and moves it left. And again, Brady finds ever dangerous Hendy. Brady will go back the other way this time. Short pass, oh, good hands as well. Scott Young powers on, 5 metres short here, the Saints. Brady to Grayson. Oh! Just knocked on, and the chance has gone. I think it was Litchfield who knocked that ball on, but still no thoughts from the Barbarians. No, now they will chip it out. And that's half-time. Lonergan kicks it out, and that is half-time. And it's 29-0 to the Barbarians.
Yeah, and it's an interesting half. I think I'm going to ask Manny in a minute what the conversations will be like in the change room at half-time. But I think actually that last play probably summed up the half, didn't it? Where some pretty good rugby going on there, but just that final execution, would you agree there, Manny?
Yeah, absolutely. I think with all pre-season games, lads are eager to play, and this over-eagerness sort of leads to drop balls and not holding your feet. So I think the chat generally will be to just relax and let things come to you, because I think Tom Litchfield, he catches that all day in training, so it's just a case of just relaxing on the ball.
Yeah, I think as well, when you've got this quality of opposition against you, you've got half an eye on the approaching player, haven't you? Probably coming, again, the Barbarian style, they tend to pop up in places where probably during a Premiership game you wouldn't expect them to be, would you?
Absolutely. When you got 130 kg flying at you, it's pretty easy to look up and take your eye off it. But I think, yeah, just that second of depth, I think, will help us a lot.
Well, much more to come here as you're watching the tries that the Barbarians are rattles in on your screens. But some fantastic scores. Some mistakes, obviously, from the Saints as well, who are struggling to keep pace with this Barbarian side at the moment. Fabulously talented players in there. Peach has been a danger, as you see there on the left wing, right at fullback. But much more to come. Stay with us here, and we'll bring you all of the second half. But just the time being, we're going to take a bit of a breather. But at half time, it's Barbarians leading by 29 points to 0. Welcome back to Franklin's Gardens, where we're actually having an argument, Lennie and me, over half-time about England in the World Cup. And it all starts on Friday, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We'll talk about this game in a moment, Barbarian Saints. But you're pretty confident that England are going to go out there and beat Argentina next
They will.
week.
They will. Oh, ye of little faith. You heard it here first. I'm not saying they're going to beat them by 15, 20 points, but they will beat Argentina. Rank outsiders, underdogs. What more could you want? It's a good side. They'll click. And as Ellis Genge said, what was it, Manny? Was it to write us off now? Was it at your risk, at your peril?
Yeah, I think it was something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't share your confidence, Lennie. Not for the first time. I hope to be proved wrong. But yeah, obviously we all know the build-up's been atrocious. It just frustrates me. We spend a lot of time in the car driving around the country talking about this. There's so much talent in English rugby. And let it go. Let it unleash it. Bazball it. We've been watching England play Bazball all summer. The cricket's been amazing. Anyway, I'm right. You're wrong. Courts. We've got a game of rugby just underway again. We'll continue arguing throughout this game on that one then. But there have been changes as well. Oh no, there have been lots of changes to the Saints team. I've just noticed. You're going to have to help me out here, Manny, with some of these changes.
Yeah, well, Alex Waller's off.
Archie McParland.
Yeah,
McParland's
McParland's on. Yeah.
So his appearance has changed somewhat.
He's gone a bit Proxide, hasn't he? Yeah, there's a little bit of product on the hairline there.
So who's this new signing? It's Archie McParland. He can play, can't he, Manny?
Yep, he's a good player.
You're not Manny.
Oh, sorry, I thought you said Lennie. Manny?
No, Manny. Tell me about Archie McParland again. He's a player we've seen in the Prem Cup a bit, isn't he?
Yeah, he's an awesome player. A player that's come in with a lot of confidence, as you can see by his Slim Shady haircut. But yeah, he's a really good player. Good footwork. Very similar to Jake, actually.
It's a 90s throwback reference. Doesn't make me feel quite so old if you've heard of Slim Shady. As the ball goes into midfield again, and Pasami and Dargano have been very, very dangerous, haven't they, in midfield for the Barbarians, as they look to extend their lead, to build on this lead, this formidable 29-point gap. And the Barbarians have not made nearly as many changes. The ball's hacked on, and McParland chases it, but well, he does gather the ball and feeds it on to Pollock on the edge of the 22, thanks to a big push in the back on the Barbarians fullback Tom Wright, who's tracking back. The Barbarians offside as well. So Saints on the 22 with McParland. He gets onto Prowse. And the replacements. And here's the captain, Cruz, into the 22. Carried on by Scott Young. Ball bobbles out of the side of the ruck. And they go back for the penalty. Right, sorry, where were we? What were we talking about? We were talking about Slim Shady, I seem to remember.
for Barbarians replacing number 4, Iyogun, and number 8, Barbarian.
Talking to someone at half-time actually who was saying to me that this is clearly a different sort of Barbarians team. It's not the team that's been thrown together in the usual sort of way, is it?
Yeah, exactly. A lot of these players obviously want to head to the World Cup, and they're not going to do that by flinging the ball around willy-nilly.
But they do look like a very well-drilled side, as it's cleared along by Tom Wright, who has been outstanding at fullback. 25 caps with Wallabies. You expect him to be pretty handy. As it's cleared by Glister, bouncing awkwardly for O'Connor, who picks the ball up and kicks it along for Hendy to gather. Now the crowd always wants to see Hendy run. He will do. In fact, then gets the ball to Litchfield. But Litchfield is hunted down, and the tackle is made on him by Dargunu. Here is Morayano again, the man that we were just talking about. Manny Iyogun with us this afternoon, alongside me, Graham McKechnie and Lennie Newman. The Barbarians come away with the ball. Let's break down and move the ball left. Lonergan, the captain this afternoon. And Neville drives it forward to right in the line with a missed pass, but it's gone behind everyone. Darganu has to pick it up on the halfway line. This is a good defence from Saints, isn't it?
It is very good defence.
I don't want to tempt fate, but this is a bit more gritty.
Yeah.
Hard working little dink over the top, and that is a really good kick. And Wright gathers. And, the glide straight past Glister. Well, I have tempted fate. That's entirely my fault. As Wright scores in the corner. Never say that. It's a good job this is a pre-season friendly. I'll remind myself never to comment on how good the defence is looking, because that happened. Wright scores in the corner. But to be fair, that was a very well worked try, wasn't it? You know, sometimes we sit and watch Saints and we're desperate to see a little chip over the top on those kind of blitz defences. Well, that's what the Barbarians have done to them there, and they've executed it perfectly, Manny. Exactly.
I don't think we can take away from that defence. It was good defence which forced them to sort of create something, and they did, because they're a good side. But yeah.
Leonard?
Yeah, I can't really add too much, really, what Manny's just said. You look at it in the Premiership, and when you've got that rush defence, if your back three are, giving you that hole in the midfield, it needs the accuracy of the kick. But that's what players like O'Connor can do, and you add Wright into that. What's he got, about 20 caps? Is he something like that?
Yeah, 25 caps.
Yeah, for the Wallabies. So you're not talking any slouches, any mugs here, and it's a perfectly executed kick. And really, if you want to look at it, how to unlock a very good, rush defence there.
James O'Connor's taking over the kicking duties, but he misses with his first one. I don't know if you noticed. Scott Young going off injured at the moment. He's walking down the touchline, walked right past James O'Connor, and obviously said something to him. Former teammates of the Reds, presumably.
Yes, they were, yeah. As you said earlier, James O'Connor's been around the world.
Toulon he played.
Yeah. Was he Wasps?
No.
I thought he was.
He was
London
London
Irish.
Irish,
London
yeah.
Irish, that's right.
And Scott Young's been replaced by Toby Tame.
Played with his father, John. John was the centre.
Yeah. As the clearance kick is very well executed by the scrum half, Lonergan, looking for Anderson around the right, and he nearly got there. It was an excellent kick. But it'll be a line out, and it'll be a Saints throw. Here's big changes now for the Barbarians. And Nakamura is coming on. Kobayashi, Johnson, Holmes. So the front row is all changing. And a couple more besides.
As the Springboks would call it, their bomb squad is coming on.
Yamankara is also on. So changes then still being made. On comes, there's a player come on who's wearing a shirt number 23. He's not on my list. So I'm afraid I can't tell you his identity.
Well, he's a Japanese player.
Well, I think that might be Yamanaka. In fact, he's just wearing a different number. Anyway, it's a line out to Saints. 5 metres out. It's 34-5, and we've played 51 minutes. The sun is shining, and the new season is almost upon us. So don't despair. This has been some fabulous rugby from the Barbarians, Lennie. Oh, hang on, you're listening. You're listening to who's coming on. If I talk, you won't be able to hear. Kenta Kobayashi's definitely one. I was right. That's Yamanaka wearing 23.
Yeah.
Right. He's at fullback. Well done, Lennie. Good work. 34-5. Line up won by Saints. Cleared by McTarland. That's a good clearance as well. Taken quickly. And here is Yamanaka. Spins over the halfway line. Good drive as well from Anderson in support. They're working hard as well, aren't they, the Barbarians, supporting each other. Good cross-field kick. And it's McCurran who's gathered it and is bundled and touched by Hendy. There'll be a line out to Saints, which Tame thinks about taking quickly.
Good play from Hendy there, because he just had to really make sure that he marshalled him into touch and then really used his strength and power there to get him in.
Toby Tame's a centre, isn't he? I'm just trying to work out
Yes, he is, yeah.
how this is lining up then, with Scott Young going off. How have they rejigged things? I'm trying to work it out for you in a moment. Line out won by Saints. Who won the line out there as well? I'm going to tell me a man with no number.
That's Henry Lavin.
Oh, Henry Lavin. Right. He is a lone player, isn't he?
He
Guest
is,
player.
yeah.
And Yamanaka. Where's he from?
He's actually a Loughborough student who's come in to sort of help us out.
It'll be a big day for him, playing in front of this sort of crowd at Franklin's Gardens. As Anderson goes flying down the right for the Barbarians. Penalty again goes against Saints, says Ian Tempest. Barbarians try to take it quickly, but call them back. Remains 34-5. There's James Cherry and Henry Lavin and Oscar Daniel, all guest players this afternoon for the Saints. Still some players to come on. Matthew Arden. So is Lavin a flanker?
He is.
Ah,
yeah.
okay. So so he's moved into the back row for Scott Young. So Connor with the penalty, he'll elect to go for the corner. That's 34-5. So the first season is all cup rugby, isn't it? With the World Cup going on in France. But I'm looking forward to this. It's something different. That's the main thing, isn't it? The line out is won by the Barbarians. And the crash ball is Anderson. Good defence.
That's a good hit there.
It was a very good tackle on Anderson, who was driving forward and looking unstoppable. They may still be over yet, the Barbarians, at 34-5. They carry close to that try line, but are short. Pollock's right in the heart of things, as he has been all afternoon, really. Pick and drive, but Saints jumped the gun and were offside. try. Barbarians cross. A most un-Barbarian-like try. Just to the left of the post with a pick and drive to the scorer in a moment.
Yeah, again,
39-5.
bit of a learning curve there. You know, you've got to get underneath, because if you go too high there, they are just going to, with the power behind them, just dot the ball over. So you've really got to, could have been a bit lower there. I think Manny would probably agree there. Just get underneath them, because the nature of the beast now is to, you know, if the worst case scenario, hold them up. But again, this is what today's for, and you know, I hope people understand that this is a very young outfit here, and it's a great learning curve. One big difference to me on both attacks is the you know, the speed at the breakdown that the Barbarians are getting some really quick ball. On the other hand, when we're going into contact, the Barbarians are using their nails, so just slowing it down that couple of seconds, and it's a massive difference for the, you know, the 9s and 10s getting this really swift ball. Bit lower on the line there, Manny.
Yeah, absolutely. I think with the rule changes, holding up the player and getting the sort of ball back, I think you're tempted to go a bit high and try to hold them up over the line, but that, as you can see, doesn't always work, and can actually put you in a spot of bother.
41-5. And as I say, still it's hardly febrile here at Franklin's Gardens this afternoon. It's all quite relaxed. Enjoying, I think, you have to say, some really fine rugby from a very good, very strong Barbarian side against a pretty callow and inexperienced Saints team this afternoon. But I was just saying, Manny, I'm looking forward to the Premiership Cup this year. Just it takes somewhere different. You know, sometimes those cup games, like last season, actually the midweek games worked pretty well. But it was, you know, the same old faces, the same old teams, wasn't it? But going to Ealing and playing Cambridge and Doncaster, it's something a bit different. It was a lovely line by Saints up to the edge of the 22. It's the dancing feet of Jake Garside who took them through. Hendy gets the ball out, the loose ball, tosses the ball inside, and the try is scored by Toby Tame. But the touch judge and the referee are just checking there was no knock-on in the build-up. It looked a little bit knock-on-ish. I think the TMO would probably have a look at that if this were a Premiership game.
I think the ref said it's off his foot.
Yeah, he's given it. It's, well, we've got the benefit of a replay now. But Grayson onto, well, a fantastic line from Garside, swerved left and right as, oh, the replay stops at the critical time. We'll have another look at that in a moment, because Grayson's lining up his kick for the conversion. It was, yeah, the ball went right. Oh no, absolutely, it did go straight off the foot of Yamanaka. So the try was good, and the conversion was good too for all the Saints, and moves the score on to 41-12. It was I suppose a touch of fortune about the try, but what you can't dispute or take away from is Jake Garside finding a very good line and creating the opening which led to the try. 41-12. O'Connor will get us restarted. And that is the end of Will Glister. He's off. Oscar Daniel comes on for him, another guest player. As Saints carry the ball out of the 22. Big hit. Is that Oscar Daniel's first touch? And he got buried. Crikey, that's an introduction and a half, isn't it?
It's quite the introduction.
Hendy into the line on the right. Cruz, who's been another very tireless effort from him, isn't it? Terrific kick from Parliament.
That was an amazing kick.
Very well judged. O'Connor was watching it, hoping that it would go out in the full. Bounces into touch. Line out to the Barbarians. Right, so Oscar Daniel. Manny, tell me about him.
I can't really tell you too much. He's sort of come in and assimilated with the boys pretty well, but he's electric.
Is he really Loughborough as well?
He isn't. He's previously London Irish.
Right. So another guest, another asterisk next to his name as McKechnie. the Japanese number 8, carries up the middle. Well, that was great work from Vukasinovic to try and disrupt the ball as he came through the ruck, but the Barbarians come away with it. They move it left. And there's a rare loose pass from Tagunu. O'Connor picks it up, flicks it left, and McParland nearly turns it over. There's been a couple of knock-ons there. The referee, in fact, saying play on. There wasn't a knock-on by Saints, so it's an advantage for a knock-on by a Barbarians player. And Hendy kicks into a lot of space. Not a bad kick, that. Garside bearing down on Wilson, who's back there. Gets it on to Yamanaka. And he tackled in the 22, and a penalty for not releasing. And that was really good. Lennie Newman was applauding alongside. It was the work rate there from Saints, wasn't it, that led to the penalty, which they take quickly. Garside in as scrum half. Goes to Sylvester. Sylvester with another couple of strides. McParland moves it out to a rather isolated Cruz. But Grayson was looking right and there's just no one there. So he takes the contact 20 metres out. Pick and drive again from Saints. McParland, who has been really good, I think, since he came on. He gets it on to... Well, it's been turned over, in fact, and Yamanaka kicks the ball long down the left. That wasn't the worst outcome from the Saints. After turning the ball over, you rather feared that Yamanaka would run that down the left. But anyway, into touch. And another change for Saints, and that is James Cherry, who is on, replacing Isaiah Moore-Ayano, who's been good. Right, Lennie, I had a question for you. I can't remember what it was.
I was just
talk to me generally.
I was just say about that last passage of play. The Saints will review this probably on Tuesday, and the one thing that highlighted me there is just the forwards are tiring. They've just got to work harder to get around the corner, get up, get back round, because you see James Grayson, then Manny, just looking for bodies, and we were short on that. On that open side, where that's where the forwards have, rather than just, I know they want to get back in that pod, but when the ball's like that, you've got to play what's in front of you and work your what's off to get round to create that extra man. But it's good play, and you can see the Barbarians tiring, their ball's slowing, and the Saints are coming into this. So I thought Isaiah there was had a great half.
And just going to these, some more changes in Saints. I'm just trying to work out. You're going to have to help me again here, Manny. So James Cherry is on.
He is.
Is he a centre?
James Cherry's back row.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
Right. I'll come back to that in a second. Toby Tame with a good carry up the middle. Right, he's that in the scrum cap who just touched the ball. The additional problem we have is they don't have any numbers, these guest players. So it's not easy. Penalty to the Barbarians. So they've just taken off Litchfield, so he's gone into midfield for Litchfield. Lennie, go on. You need a microphone if you're going to speak.
Sorry, you've got. No, you haven't. No, I was going to say you've got Tame in midfield with.
Yeah, with who?
No number in the midfield. It's not Glinster, is it? Moved into. Well, I'm going to have to call on Manny for this one.
Hey, Manny, come on. All these guest players.
I think Hendy might have moved into the centres, and Oscar.
He's dropped back to fullback.
Yeah, he's dropped.
That looks likely, or looks possible. And anyway, in the meantime, the Barbarians have the ball with just over an hour now played here at Franklin's Gardens, and 41-12 the score. And they're looking dangerous again, as they have all afternoon, really.
Great turnover.
It is a good turnover. Whose hands were on there?
Miller Mills, I think.
Prowse acts as scrum half, moves the ball left. And McParland drops. Right. So again, my ignorance of the player. Who was that then, Mary?
That looks like it was Craig Wright.
Craig Wright.
Yeah,
okay.
Come on.
So he's come on at hooker, not Aston Gradwick Light. Right, thank you. So there's two hookers, two replacement hookers on the bench. Craig Wright not wearing a number. This is getting confusing, isn't it, Lennie? it's getting difficult when the new players, guest players without numbers on their
Thank
shirts.
the Lord for Manny Iyogun up here. But
I know.
Even he's saying, I think.
Well, it is.
Hey, look, but I love games like this because this is where you'll say, do you remember that first game where we seen...
Well, you remember that game at Bedford a few years ago when a young South African arrived and scored 4 tries?
Yes.
So it does happen, doesn't it? Dave Ribbons was unbelievable that day. And it turned out to be a pretty decent player. We'll see him.
Bedford away, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. We'll see him later in this season, won't we?
We will.
In the unfamiliar colours of Toulon. As Peach tries to find a way through. Is Uru, who's been, I think, just about the best player out there. There's been a few, hasn't there, for the Barbarians, but I think Seru Uru in the back row has been very good.
Lachlan Swinton,
yeah,
I think he's been really good.
Grayson kicks into space down the Barbarians' right. There's no one back. Does he get 50-22? Not quite. Don't think he quite gets it, does he? He's about an inch outside the 22, so it will be a Barbarians throw, but it's still a very fine kick from James Grayson.
You know, as a forward, that's what you want to see when there's, you know, pressure in front of you, not a lot on. We see Hendy do it earlier with a nice crossfield kick into space, and you know, that's just really, you hear people say you want somebody there to control the game, and that's what you need to do at 10 and 15 when you've got that open field. So yeah, good play from Grayson there. The
medics are out there. There are a few tired players as well. But Lennie, I asked this question, we never got an answer. I was talking about the Prem Cup next. It starts next week, and we're away. We're making a trip down to Ealing, and it's just something different, isn't it? You know, we're the best ball in the world. I'd much rather Saints be playing the likes of Ealing, Cambridge, and Doncaster than another match against Harlequins, another match against Leicester, whoever.
Exactly. I've been to Ealing once, and I think it was when we were in the Championship back in 2006. Who's this coming off now?
Is that Henry Lavin?
It is, yes.
So he's been replaced. Well, he's gone off.
Looks like he's having a HIA. He's going straight down the tunnel for a
Jordy
check.
Irvin is on. And on the crash ball, Swinton for the Barbarians takes it out to the 22. Box kick. And the Barbarians scrum half is a high, towering kick. It's a good kick and it's chased well. And the Barbarians have the ball back. It's swept out. And Shingeno, the scrum half, has added a real sense of urgency, isn't it? The half back since he's come on for the Barbarians. Little grubber through. That's clever. That is really clever. It's picked up on the bounce and fed on to Yamanaka. One more pass and they'll score. There it is. Fantastic pass. McCurran under the post. That's the best try of the afternoon. There's been some belters, but I reckon that is the best of the bunch. Proper Barbarians rugby, that Lennie.
And that's the difference. It's just that skill set on the hoof at full pace, little perfected kick through, and then you look at the players there. You know, the 15, the Japanese lad whose name
Yamanaka.
Yamanaki.
Yamanaka.
If you look, he looked as he was running all his options around him and made the right choice at the right time. I know this looks like a bit of a drubbing, but it's not because of the...
Why the Barbarians? Now this is...
I don't know, what are they doing?
They're all on their own line, running it toward... They're trying to charge down their own kick.
Well, they're trying to... It's a weird one. Manny, we said that you're not far away from pulling the boots on. This must have been a game that you wouldn't have minded playing him.
Yeah, I think my lungs would have had a different opinion to that one. But yeah, first home game of the season is always an awesome game to get back for. Unfortunately, that's not been the case, but yeah, not too far away.
It's Hunter Paisami who converted that one. I don't know quite why the rest of his teammates were trying to charge it down. More changes for the Barbarians. I think it's Talakai coming back on again, and Lonergan as well. That's Lachlan Lonergan, the hooker, as it's cleared into touch. 48-12 the score. 67 and a half minutes played. Lennie, you were pointing at someone saying he's been good. Who are you talking about then?
Sorry, I was actually on about Ryan Lonergan. I just thought
Scrum half, yeah.
Scrum half. He just put that deft kick through, but just again controlled the game.
I'll tell you what, though, I also think that Archie McParland's been really good since he came on. As is this man, Jake Garside, wriggling through and up the middle, thrown to the turf by Anderson, Lachlan Anderson. But he's okay, gets back to his feet.
He's a tough little devil, isn't he?
He is, yeah. Vukasinovic takes it onto the edge of the 22. Saints move this ball left across the field. Pass was just behind Henry Pollock. Goes interception. It'll be a line out to the Barbarians.
I think if you had to describe the differences at the moment, you'd probably just say it was the accuracy of just the pass and the that decision making. There's plenty of endeavour out there. I think it's been a really good.
Well, that's now Aston Gradwick Light coming on, isn't it? So, and he's on for Henry Pollock. So, can he fit into the back row, Gradwick Light?
He absolutely can. Yeah, he's actually got some amazing CMJ and speed stats. He's actually one of the quickest. He's the quickest front row.
And there's, joking aside, I'm not about to cast aspersions on the front row. There are some pretty quick front rows at Saints.
There are, yeah. Alex Waller's another one up there that are honestly lightning quick.
Little grubber through from the Barbarians, taken on by Yamanaka again. Great pass to his left to Anderson. He in turn kicks ahead as well into the 22. Oh, and well done, Jake Garside. He was in the land of the Giants there, wasn't he? Surrounded by three very large Barbarians players, but he plucked the ball out from under their noses and clears the ball well. And he has been good, Jake Garside. Every time we have seen him play, Lennie, we've been impressed by Jake Garside, and this afternoon is no difference. What are you nodding? Why are you nodding? What have you seen as well? You like the look of Yamanaka?
Yeah, I'll let you say his name again, but I've watched him before and I can't think where it was, but he's just a really class act. Again, he'll be another player that's probably just missed out on selection for the Japanese squad. So I think most of these players down here, as I said, if their nations are in the World Cup, you'll probably see these feature, because squads are not going to go through this World Cup without picking up some knocks. Not if you see the warm-up friendly between South Africa and New Zealand the other Friday evening. Imagine that plus some, and that's what physicality you're going to get during the World Cup.
18 caps for Japan. Ryohei Yamanaka is the line out. Oh, it's just slipped through the fingers of Geordie Irvin for throw from Craig Wright. And the Barbarians have more ball to play with. It's knocked on. It's got a little bit messy, isn't it? In the last few minutes, we've still got 10 minutes to play, according to the stadium clock. 48-12 the score. Jake Garside has been given a well-deserved break. Matthew Arden coming on for him. Yeah, best back for Saints today, I think. Yeah. Manny, would you say?
Agreed, yeah. He's been awesome. He's almost been everywhere.
He's getting a standing ovation. And it's his work rate, isn't it? Aside from his skill, but everyone can see just how hard he has worked this afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as a sort of being out of position, you can almost sort of give the game away and just say I'm out of position. I don't have to do good here, but he's taken that really well.
There's a quick tap from McParland, but the pass from Grayson, the offload was forward, and unfortunately the referee in touch just spotted it, and it remains 48-12. Who else impressed you then? Leonard? With the backs, let's start with them.
Yeah, I think it's been quite difficult actually, because they've all shown little flashes. I say, I don't want to sound repetitive, but it's just those last. I think Garside has been. I always liked him at 9. I just felt he got that explosion around the base, and I've got a feeling he might feature well this year. Within, not just in the Premiership Cup, but I think he might get a few games, horses for courses, in the Premiership this season as well. I think Hendy's been solid at 15. He has had a tendency in the past to just switch off. I haven't seen that today. He's been fully focused for all the game. I think James Grayson's controlled it well. Now and again, just like that there, I want to see him release the ball, take it to the line, but release it a little bit quicker, then follow it round and be the extra man. But look, this is first game of the season. Well, sorry, second, isn't it? But I think there's been some good displays.
The try scorer McCurran gets the ball on the left, takes it in to contact. Barbarians then with just under 8 minutes left here at Franklin's Gardens. But there's been some really good individual performances. This man's been good, Kato Shingo, since he came on the scrum half, offloads. Barbarians back in the Saints 22. And he's quick, isn't he? Shingano. The ball bobbles as the side of the ruck, and was it Miller Mills pounced on that? Good work from the prop. And Grayson moves the ball left, but Toby Tame is upended inside his own 22 there. Dylan Peach wants to come back on, the left winger for the Barbarians. Good clearance kick.
I think the big difference as well here, Graham, with this particular Barbarians, and we've mentioned it a couple of times, but when you see the Barbarians at the end of the season, it's very much an assembled side who have been letting their hair down for a week, had quite a few beers and get together, and
nothing like that,
the fun and the beers kind of come out their system during the game, and you can smell it. These are players that are I've just looked at some of the hits they're putting in.
It's not a fun day, this.
No. These are players that are keeping themselves in condition.
You're right.
For what might be ahead.
Yeah, this is definitely not a jolly for this lot. And, I've been really impressed by a number of their individuals. Shingano moves the ball left, good miss pass out to Anderson, who's been good. All the backs have been exceptional, I think, for the Barbarians. It's dropped by McKechnie, and the referee spotted the knock-on. It'll be a scrum down. Saints put in. Manny, what about from your perspective of the Barbarians, who've particularly stood out for you?
I think James O'Connor's controlled the game. He was awesome. He almost doesn't even look like he's trying. He's just cruising through the game.
Yeah.
Obviously, Seru Uru, awesome player. Just work rate on the carry. You can sort of see him high knee into the carry. You just don't want to be on the end of it. But yeah, those two names have sort of spotted my fancy.
Yeah, they've been good. The Barbars. 5 minutes left. Some of the crowd heading off early. The Cobblers are at home just up the road. They're a goal down as well. Faster this afternoon against Wycombe, but they're trailing by a goal to nil. So there'll be a bit of traffic around in this part of town as Saints go left through Tame. He looks a bit stronger. He's changed a bit, hasn't he, Tame? He's had a good little cameo, I think. McParland gets on to Grayson, to Hendy in the line, and Hendy's going for it. Great acceleration from Hendy. He's running out of pitch, so he offloads the ball infield just before he goes over the whitewashing into touch. But the Barbarians with lovely hands. It's gone forward though, spoiling the fun. As I think it's Wilson, wasn't it? He thought he was away down the left there.
Hunter Paisami there. He's turned over the ball, hitch kicked, hand off, and just unfortunately left it a bit forward on his outside. But that's awesome work there,
wasn't it? Yeah, they've got some very talented individuals out there.
Yeah, Paisami there. That was because he let the impact of the clear out actually assist him there, didn't he? So he almost scooped it like the bucket on a digger, and the momentum of that clear out, he scooped it. It was brilliant, and then obviously just tapped it away.
24 caps for the Wallabies, Hunter Paisami. And 25 years old. You do wonder why he's not in that Wallaby squad. He's been really, really good. Good scrum from the Barbarians. And they come away with it. Here is Paisami. Stopped on the 10-metre line. The ball squirts out. And does it go forward? No, says the referee. So the Barbarians on the 10-metre line. Oh, and through they go. through Peach. Offloads onto Anderson. Anderson swerving up the middle of the pitch. Ball has surely gone forward that time. Yes, says the referee, but Saints have turned it anyway and can counter through Daniel. Down the left. Who's that? Quick. Who's that? I'm not sure who that player is. He hasn't got a number on. Is that Wright, the hooker? It's gone down the left anyway and into Barbarians territory. Infield it comes to Lavin. McParland. That's scrum half. To Grayson. It's Wright. It's driven back. And Grayson now looks up and has Hendy in support. Missed pass out to Daniel, but he's well lined up and well tackled by Anderson. Hendy down the blind side, always passed just in front of Vukasinovic. And it'll be a line out to the Barbarians. 2 minutes to go.
Yeah, I think Hendy's, as the game's gone, he's got really strong there. He's making good decisions. The pass was just a little bit over ambitious. Vukasinovic. I hope I got that right. He's put in a great shift today. He looks like he's going to be there for the 80. I've been really impressed with him. I mean, he's been a real grafter.
Vukasinovic.
He'll sleep well tonight.
Yeah, he will. Line-out's turned over by Saints. It went through the fingers of the Barbarians on the line-outs. And across the field they go again to Litchfield. He's come back on. They're rolling the subs. Callum Smith is on for the Saints. Not sure who he's replaced. As you probably detected at home, it's not been easy identifying players with rolling subs without numbers on their backs. The ball's been knocked on anyway. It'll be a scrum down Barbarians put in.
Was that a bit of a woe is I moment from you?
A little bit. But as I said, next Sunday it'll be a very different Saints team. But the approach during the Premiership Cup will be interesting to see how Saints go. They start off with Ealing, don't they? So yeah. I'd imagine you won't go all guns blazing. There'll be a sense of building up towards the start of the Premiership season.
Manny, any chance of a bench slot there, do you think, next week?
We'll have to find out, I think.
Just wait and see, Lennie. Be patient. But there will be a sense, won't there, that the cup's important, but obviously the Premiership is the main course. So I'd imagine there will be players eased in as that tournament progresses. There's no point in going all guns blazing against Ealing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's sort of a slow burn until the start of the Premiership.
Tom Collins will be looking forward to it, won't he?
He will. He'll be. I think some of our lads will be looking forward to playing against him. To be honest.
Yeah, he's a hugely popular man. And, well, there wasn't a dry eye in the house when he left at the end of the season. We're inside the last minute then, and it's 48-12, as you can see. And they've done a totally dominant performance. Better, I suppose, in the second half from the Saints as Uru goes through the gap, and great hands again from Shingano, but his subsequent pass is knocked on. McParland kicks long into space, sending the fullback Yamanaka back to gather from just outside the 22. On they go, the Barbarians. Big tackle in midfield just outside their 22 as the clock ticks down to 80 in the stadium. And we enter the last phases of the game. Shingano gets the ball short and left to McKechnie, his compatriot from Japan. And wider this time they move it to Anderson. Anderson on to Wilson. The ball is dropped and it bobbles into touch. And that is it. That is full time. And I think a good time was had. 48-12. A better second half, Manny, from the Saints.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we sort of warmed ourselves into that game. But yeah, definitely a better second half.
Yeah, and I think we'll hear from Phil Dowson in a little while, but I think it served its purpose from a Saints perspective too. It was clearly a day to learn, wasn't it? Because they were up against a very experienced and very talented Barbarians team, and those young Saints players will have learned a great deal from this, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the first half was, really just touches of class. and showing the Saints youngsters really, how to finish the job off. And I think it was a really good outing today. Some good individual performances. Some structures would have been put in place, and as you said, there'd have been a hell of a lot of learning out there against. I can't reiterate this enough. This was a very, very, very talented and experienced Barbarian side out there. I would challenge any Premiership side to come here today, at this stage of the season, and not have their have a real handful from this Aussie stroke Southern Hemisphere Japanese outfit. Really impressive.
Yeah, and you get the impression this Barbarians team, unlike the one that came here back in November, they're not all going out for a beer now, because they are thinking about the World Cup, and that is the difference between the two teams. And that was a really impressive performance. Manny, before we go then, so it all starts next Sunday then. The season starts proper next Sunday with the match against Ealing, and that's a cup Saints will want obviously to do well in, but as we've seen in its different guises over the years, it's an opportunity for players like you coming back from injury, but also other players, some of those young players out there today, to catch the attention of the coaches and try and force themselves into the reckoning for the Premiership.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the big word there is opportunity. It's an opportunity to build trust with the coaches as well. That the coaches want to see consistent performances out of you, and if you can do that in Prem Cup games, it's a sort of it's a corridor into the Premiership. So players will be so eager to perform and play well in those games. So it'll be exciting to see.
Yeah, it will indeed. And you touched on this earlier, but for those just joining, hopefully we'll see you back before too long over the next few weeks.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, Manny, thank you. It'll be fantastic to see you back after so much time on the sideline with injury. Lennie, final word from you then. We just want to get going now, don't we? It feels like a long summer. I've thoroughly enjoyed my summer, but I'm ready for rugby.
Yeah, so am I. It's been elongated because obviously we've got that little thing called the World Cup round the corner. There's been plenty of rugby on show, but you can't beat if you want the length and the trepidation of the Premiership and the Premiership Cup. I'm certainly ready to get back into the straps, and I'm pretty sure the players will be. And as far as the Saints concerned, I really am looking for an exciting season. There'll be lots of sides who will be saying otherwise, but I really do like the look of this year's squad.
As always, Lennie the optimist. That's all we have time for. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for keeping us company this afternoon. Thanks, Manny and Lennie. Lennie and I will be back on Wednesday on BBC Radio Northampton. The Saints show returns. It makes its triumphant return after the summer break. We'll be there on Wednesday at 6 o'clock, as always. The podcast also available, and then we'll have live coverage for you on BBC Radio Northampton on Sunday, live from Ealing Trail Finals in the Prem Cup. But from Lennie, from Manny Iyogun, and from me, McKechnie, that's all we have time for now. And enjoy the rest of your weekend, and a very good afternoon.